A new Rakhni variant has surfaced that now chooses whether to mine or to ransom depending on your system. So this is Ransomware and Cryptominer 2-in-1, double the trouble. Let's first talk about how this malware is distributed and which countries are affected mostly. This is a really nice in-depth post from Kaspersky. It kind of covers everything. First of all, the countries most affected are Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Germany, and India. That's an interesting list. The United States is affected to some extent, but not as heavily. Now, the infection vector is primarily spam campaigns, so you get fake documents that resemble something like this, and when you try to open them, it executes the downloader. It does require admin privileges, but it kind of masquerades as an Adobe Reader plugin, so it's easy to miss. Now, the downloader itself first displays an error message and then goes on to infect the system with whatever malware it deems is ideal. Another interesting thing, this malware actually has a really strong anti-virtual machine component, so it's really difficult to analyze. I tried a lot of tricks to get it to run on my VM, and none of it worked because it has a lot of environment checks. So first it checks to make sure that you have, certain folders and files that would indicate that the system is actually being used and not just set up for the purposes of testing. It also checks for all of these processes. So as you can see, we already have Process Explorer, we have Process Hacker, pretty much every malware analysis process. So it just checks for all of these names in your process list. And if any of them are found, it is going to terminate and not deploy the payload. It also checks the machine names for all of these. So if you have any of these as your computer name, it is not going to execute. And most importantly, it also checks for any of the tools you have installed for virtual machines. And as you can see, it's pretty comprehensive. It includes a lot of directories, lots of names, and even a lot of registry values. You can see a disk check there, so it's pretty comprehensive. And that's the reason I can't do a live demonstration for this, is because no matter what I did, it always terminated on my VM. So it's really good at avoiding analysis. But if it does go through, then it first installs a fake certificate, and this is something very common. So guys, again, don't just check digital signatures and assume that the file is safe, because there are a lot of malicious files that will just use a fake certificate or will install a root certificate. That's very common these days. Like this one claims to be from Adobe and this one from Microsoft, so they have both fake Microsoft and Adobe certificates. And as you can see, they would look pretty legit, honestly. Although I think the dates are a bit off. Now, once it's beyond that process, it decides whether to install a cryptor or a Cryptominer, depending on how many logical processors you have. So if you have more than 2 cores, I believe, or is it 2 or 4? I think 2. It's going to prefer the Cryptominer, which is interesting because 2 cores, you can't really do much with that. But I guess, again, ransomware is like high risk, high reward. So either you get paid a lot of money or you don't get anything in most cases. But if you have just 1 core, then it goes for the cryptor, in which case it is going to spawn taskhost.exe as the malicious process. That is going to be your typical Rakhni ransomware. It also removes shadow copies. Yay! Encrypts the following files, and you've seen this message before. Nothing unusual. Has an email address at protomail.com. Now, if it goes for the miner, then I believe it uses the name of service host, so you don't notice it. There are a lot of SVC host processes, so you may not see it running, and I'm sure it is going to disguise itself when you open up Task Manager. According to Kaspersky, when they carried out the analysis, the miner didn't use the GPU. It was only CPU-based, which is inefficient. So it'll be taking up a lot of CPU, not making them a lot of money. But again, you have to think about it as it's more of a botnet kind of income. So even if you have 1,000 machines infected, that's 1,000 times the output. So even if you're making just 10 cents a machine, that adds up, and you're actually making a significant amount of money if you've infected thousands of computers. Now, the malware also checks for any of these AV processes, and if none of them are found, then it just disables Windows Defender. It also has a worm component and infects other computers on the local network. So as you can tell, cyber criminals are getting very smart in how to make the most out of malware these days. They're using the best of both worlds. Isn't that great? Either it's getting you to pay them Bitcoin, or it's getting you to mine cryptocurrency for them. Not sure what they would choose though. Maybe Litecoin these days? Isn't that the hot thing? But I don't know. I'm not a miner. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Watch out for this kind of malware, especially if you're in the affected regions. Be careful if any kind of document is trying to run what you might think is a plugin. It's probably something much more malevolent. And remember, always keep backups, use a good anti-malware solution. Can't say that enough. Please like and share. Thank you for watching. This is Leo from the PC Security channel. And as always, stay informed, stay secure.